Hey guys, Luke from Precision Angling here. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the Yo-zuri Bonita. This lure here it's not a new lure by any means or anything like that, but this lure we've been fishing with them for the previous, during the yellowfin season that's just been this summer, and then now that the bluefin season's really kicking off down at Waiho Bay, we've been fishing them down there. You can see this one here just did a 2-day trip with Matador down at East Cape. They caught a whole bunch of fish and took a hiding. They've been an incredibly effective lure for us, and we get asked a bit how we rig them, where we run them, and things like that. So basically this one here, the leader's taken a bit of a knock after a few fish, so I'm going to show how we re-rig, or how we rig this lure. I'm going to re-rig this one and we'll show you how we rig it, and then I'll also talk to you about where we run it and all that kind of stuff. So to start with this one here, I'm just going to take this original leader off it. We use a split ring to split ring it to the lure. Now there's a couple of reasons why we do this. One, if we're to crimp directly to the lure here, the lure is going to wobble a lot. So designed as like a trembler style lure, this lure is going to wobble a hell of a lot, and as it does that, if you were to crimp a direct loop onto that, this wire will wear through the crimp loop. So we want to add some sort of way of point of pivot so the lure can pivot and basically not wear on the connection here. So another cool thing too is also, if you do that and you have another lure that you want to run but you may not want to make leaders for everything, you can just split ring on another lure, and we also sometimes split ring on the Magnum deep divers as well if it's nice and calm. So it gives you a couple of options by rigging it on that split ring. So we'll just get rid of this leader. Get rid of that. Now the split ring and swivel we're running there is we're running a Sasami 4-bar. You can either run the 3, 4 or the 5. I just prefer the bigger size myself. I don't see it affecting the lure running in any way so far, so I find, yeah, like a 4-bar I find a pretty good size. For the split ring we're running the Varavas 300 pound. We're going to be running a 200 pound leader and a 200 pound wind on generally with this rig. So 300 pound, again, it's not really affecting the lure anyway, so it's nice to be just that little bit stronger, especially since it's close to the lure. For the leader, on this one here, we're going to run the Yo-zuri 200 pound clear. This stuff here, obviously, because the lure is down below the surface and in front of the fish, it's going to be visible to the fish. The leader will be in front of it. Running something like a fluorocarbon will help disguise the leader. For 1, 2, it's going to be extra abrasion resistant, so as the fish are hitting this lure, they often try and eat the lure head first, and you get quite a bit of wear and tear, especially in that first couple of inches of that leader. So having the fluorocarbon has a couple of advantages. We like to run 2 meters on our leaders. 2 meters. The lure itself, the Bonita, it's not going to get super deep. This lure doesn't run down real deep. It's only running a couple of meters below the surface, so I find 2 meters is perfectly capable for this. We then want a couple of of chafe tube. Chafe gear is always nice to put on every connection. The fluorocarbon is 1.54 mil diameter, so we're going to run a 2 mil chafe tube. This stuff's from Precision Angling. It's just a nice clear chafe tube, a couple of short pieces of that, and then we'll also need some copper crimps. So for that there, we're using the Precision Angling 1.9 mil. This stuff will fit into a 1.6 mil crimp, but when we're using it for the trolling purposes, the 1.9 has a little bit more gap in it, so when you crimp it down, it'll bite onto the leader a little bit better. And 2, having a slightly longer crimp gives you a bit more area of actual crimping on it. So yeah, I like the 1.9. So all we do, crimp, bit of chafe gear, onto our swivel, back through the crimp. As like any leader that we're crimping up, we always like to burn a bulb. So burn a bulb. Press the bulb down. A couple of reasons. One, when you pull that up into that crimp, it's going to stop that leader slipping through. We always put the chafe tube on the bulb end of the crimp and then pull the chafe tube round. And you'll see that'll pull round nicely. When crimping, we always start at the loop end. Okay, always important to start at the loop end. Crimp down nice and hard. We've left a little bit of space between the crimp and the end of the crimp so that the crimp will flare to make sure it doesn't pinch the fluorocarbon. With this size crimp here, I'll actually just come to the other side, again leaving a couple of mil and then crimping down hard again. So I just do the 2 crimps, leaving a gap in the middle like that. So that's one end of the leader. We'll then just finish the other end. There. Same thing, crimp, same piece of chafe gear. And then we use one of these little lighters here, just burn a bulb. Again, the bulb stops it coming through, chafe gear on the bulb side, and pull that down. It'll come down real nice every time if you do it like that. When we crimp, again leaving a gap. I always like to take a wrap of the leader and then push against the crimp, ensuring that this piece of chafe gear in here, that there's no gap or space or anything by the crimp there, so give it a nice pull. Crimp it down, come back down to the other end, and again crimp it down. So there's the finished loop for that end. To put it back onto the lure, like I said before, we run this big heavy duty split ring, which is super handy, so that if you want to change lure or anything like that, also stops the wearing on the end of your leader. Split ring that on, and that there is how we connect our lure. Adding the swivel there is nice, obviously when you've got a fish on the leader or anything like that, if it's spinning at the boat, just helps take any of that twist out. It's a nice strong connection, and it allows us to run these at any speed. They can be run pretty fast, they can be run up to 20 knots, but most of the time when we're bluefin fishing, we're fishing about that 5 to 7. And that there is how we rig the lure. Now just quickly, a lot of people ask how we rig the hooks and everything on them. These lures actually come in the packet with these hooks. So they come with a nice heavy duty ball bearing swivel and a very heavy duty hook. These ones here, I usually just give them a bit of a sharpen up, and every so often, just like any hook that you're going to be out there trolling behind the boat, always make sure you maintain them and keep them nice and sharp. So that's how we rig and run the lure. Running it, we usually run them on just a normal game setup, so this is a precision angling 50-80 pound rod. This is kind of our standard everyday trolling setup. For the leader, we're running a 200 pound wind on leader. You'll notice here as well, I'll just show you quickly, when we're bluefin fishing, we generally don't run a very big swivel, so we've got quite a small size ball bearing swivel on there, and then we've got a 200 pound wind on leader running down to 80 pound mono. So that's a pretty standard setup for most people when they're fishing, but again, having that 200 pound wind on, it's a bit thinner, especially for if we're running these diver style lures. Putting these lures in our spread. Now it's a very versatile lure. When I've been fishing these for the yellowfin, we've been fishing them quite short, quite close to the boat, kind of like that second wave in front of the long corner lure. On a previous trip down to Waiha Bay, I was fishing this basically where my long corner lure would be. For the bluefin, we are fishing the lures quite a bit further back, so when I say my long corner lure, I was putting this back about 5 waves. We've also had reports, I've had quite a few customers report that they run them back in the riggers. It doesn't pull a lot of drag, so the lure itself is only pulling about 2 kilos of drag. Because of that, it allows you to put it anywhere in the spread. You can put it in an outrigger clip, you can run it, the boys on the Matador, we're running it in what they would call their short and long corner, but from the rigger. So they're putting it in their rigger, in a game clip, running it back to where they would normally run their long corner, and then they're actually fishing a trolled skirted lure in front of it. Because it's below the surface, it helps you to put a couple more rods out without things tangling, because you've got different levels of the lures sitting in the water column. It also has the added benefit that because it can be towed up to such a fast speed, when you are down there and if the weather is rough and you've got a big swell and bad sea condition, as your boat picks up speed or as you turn down swell and your boat jumps up to 10 knots. So this lure will not pull out of the water, it won't blow out of the water and jump out of the spread. It'll just carry on running as it should, diving down, staying below the surface, and it's just a great little like a great extra to add to your spread if you are thinking about chasing tuna. So Yo-zuri Bonita, they come in a couple of different sizes. That's the 210, that's the 170. Both come rigged with hooks. Both great lures. They come in a heap of different colours. So if you're looking for something to add to your spread for tuna fishing, look no further than the Yo-zuri Bonita. Thanks guys.